All right, y'all. Welcome to the Build It All podcast. My name is Ricky Taylor. I'm starting this thing up just because of the fact that I know there's a lot of people out here that are looking for something to help them to stay focused, right? I'm a firm believer in having my own abilities and my own knowledge, but also I'm understanding of the fact that sometimes when you hear it from a third party, it resonates a little bit more. So that's the focus, build it all, mind, body, spirit, financial, and just, kind of sharing best practices. So it's going to be like an open forum type of thing, kind of off the cuff. Just felt like it was a good opportunity to get everything started off. I got Mr. Xavier Neal, David Xavier Neal, the X-Man, you know what I'm saying, here with me. And he just, he helped me to elevate to another level. And I felt like it was a good place to start because of the fact that, that's what it's all about, elevation and growth, building it all. You got to have a good foundation and then you build from there. So, for the people who don't know who you are, what would you say about yourself to, let the people know where you're coming from?
Well, my little backstory, I could give it to you right quick. Humble means, by far did not grow up, in a very, how can I put this, affluent household.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Mother did a thing, you know what I mean? But, single mom, raising a couple kids, building her life up, like many of us.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's how we came up. So, went from, trying to learn how to, like all of us, how to get from, a place that we were born into to another layer or another level, if you will, in life, and through, God always, and through, mental development and, self-discipline and business acumen. And I was able to, change my life and, make a decent money, you know what I mean?
Modest. Okay.
Make some decent money and, through my career, help individuals like you make, decent money.
Modest.
You know what I mean?
No, I'm like
So, I'm just honored to be able to, to be here, be a part of this launching and, just kind of share some best practices and mindsets for, anyone who wants to, try to take their life to another level.
Indeed. That's dope, man. What's crazy, man, is we had the best conversation. Every time we rap is good, so that's why it's good to start off with you, but just because we bounce off ideas off each other, it's always a good conversation,
I agree.
But the other day, though, right, that was a conversation that was a long time coming, when we were talking about the, intention and boxes and all those other things. So, of course, it was kind of like this spur of the moment conversation, but I kind of want to rehash that because that was really dope. When it comes to that box thing that you were talking about and building boxes, man, could you
mental
elaborate?
boxes?
Absolutely.
So, all right, so we're going to start with mental boxes. So a mental box, I'm going to try to take it from a general point of view.
Right.
And not so much as business.
Right, indeed.
For me personally, I was growing up, in an urban environment, with certain limited resources, and my mother, God bless, she always said, shoot for stars, like all of us, good parents, do good, try hard. But when you don't have certain, experiences around you, it's very easy to put yourself into these mental boxes, these limiting belief systems that will, stop you from, achieving your ultimate goal and where you really want to be. You know what I mean? And quite frankly, these mental boxes are not always, easily broken because most of us don't even know we're doing it to ourselves.
Yes. Indeed.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
We go through these processes where, we're trying to, accomplish something or do something, but, the fact that we see a life in a certain limiting aspect keeps you from fulfilling that next chapter of what you're trying to do because you're so blinded from, what you think you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not allowing yourself to grow past that and see beyond, you know, what that limitation is that's stopping you. I feel like I'm talking kind of abstract, but it's really kind of an abstract concept.
Yeah.
It's like the old saying, does a fish know it's in water?
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You heard that before?
Yeah.
So, you know, a fish doesn't know it's in water.
Mhm.
It's born in water.
Yeah.
So it's born in that box, and until, you know, you realize that, you know, you are in that fish bowl,
Yeah.
and that water's always been there. You're just swimming along and not knowing that, you know, you're trapped into this microcosm of thinking that, you know, when you finally get to those epiphanies, everything that you thought you know, you don't know,
Exactly.
allows you then to go to another level.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. And the crazy thing about it is that I was actually thinking about it, you know, after we had the conversation, and it kind of goes back. That's why you were saying, is it abstract? You know, it's good to think abstract because it's always idea, and then you break down how you do it, right? So
Yeah.
my biggest thing in regards to that is I always talk about awareness all the time.
Mhm.
Awareness, bro. Like, you know, with those boxes, a lot of the times we build our own boxes, like as far as by things that we do, but some of the things, you know, the box is already there for us.
Correct.
You know, like we're born into it. Like we're both strong black men. That's something that we were born into,
Thank you.
right?
I
And
agree.
absolutely. Now, here's the thing: when I was younger, like I grew my hair out for like 8 years, had big afro and the braids and all of those other things, and you know, I made a choice to cut my hair. But the reason I made a choice to cut my hair, it was not to sell out. It was to have the understanding and awareness of perception is reality. And if I want to move to that next level, there are certain things that I had to do in order to do that. Now, that does come with limits. You know, I'm not going to, you know, put my integrity or anything like that to the side, but just being aware, you know. And sometimes the awareness is the most important part, and you don't even have to necessarily do anything with that awareness.
Now, what do you mean you're not gonna put your integrity aside?
Well, what I mean is that I'm not going to sell my soul. There's limitations. Like, I'm not going to go out and do something that I'm totally against just for an opportunity. I'm not going.
Your heart position is not moving you in that direction. So thus you said you're feeling counterintuitive to how you feel you should be moving.
Correct.
That's your integrity.
Right.
So now remember, like we talked about yesterday,
Mhm.
kind of pull in, that is also a double-edged sword because your integrity can change
Hmm.
based on the intent, how you feel about a situation. Because thus then later you may feel that you should have done that anyway.
Right. And that's why I said there are limitations. Now, here's the thing. In my past thinking, I would have never cut my hair. Do you see what I'm saying? But that changed as I matured. But there are certain things that, from what I know now, that I would never do. You get what I'm saying? It's like everybody has their price. Everybody has their cost. And the same thing, everybody also has their limits.
True, and we all got to make that call.
Exactly.
And then, you know, it's kind of like, you know, Dave Chappelle once said, you know, in an interview I heard him say, you know, if as long as you know what you're getting into, basically I'm paraphrasing right now,
Mhm.
and you're willing to pay that price,
Mhm.
and you're happy about paying that price,
Right.
then go for it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you get to a place where you don't feel good about that price, then thus, you know, that's when you know you need to pull back.
Go to Africa like he did.
You know what I mean? But also don't and if this is me now, you know, don't keep yourself in a situation where you're so closed-minded to a box that
Mhm.
you keep yourself from growing past that limitation.
Right.
Because you can grow past that limitation,
Right.
and then you can see it from a different perspective. And the next thing you know, what you felt was a line you wouldn't cross, you'll happily go across it because now you're not crossing the line anymore because you see the line differently.
Hmm.
You understand what I'm trying to say?
And that'll be a case by case scenario. Of course, you always
Everybody.
weigh in the value proposition, you know,
100%.
like we talked about before, it's more so about the intent. What are you trying to do?
And that's what I was about to say.
That's
man.
right,
It's
yeah.
all about that intent. You know, I remember seeing a lot of older black men, you know, in business, you know, doing and acting certain ways.
Right.
And at that point in my journey, you know, I'm not gonna name no names, but I will use some of those derogatory phrases I would think back then. I was like, you Sam Bowen and Uncle Tom and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. But I was, you know, coming from a vantage point of youth, inexperience, and unworldliness.
Right. Indeed.
And at the time, on the outside looking in, some of the actions that I witnessed certain people doing felt like they were, you know, selling out, crossing lines, you know, things I would never do. Then as I matured and I had experience and I've learned, and you know, the world beat me down a little bit. I'm not saying, and I don't take it the wrong way, I'm not saying I got to a place where I was like, okay, well, that's what you got to do. I started seeing the game differently. You know what I mean? It's kind of like with maturity comes clarity.
Right.
And you said something the other day, I thought it was beautiful. Hindsight is 20/20, but you know, foresight is, you know, blessing.
Right.
So with the experiences I learned, I was like, okay, I was sometimes putting myself in a box and feeling like I had to act a certain kind of way, present myself a certain kind of way to keep it a certain kind of, you know, true essence of my youth and how my mind was at that time. And then I realized as I matured on, you know, some of those things and some of those point of views, they were holding me back. And not just in a business aspect, in a personal aspect.
Right.
You know, a friend of mine used to always talk about tribalism, you know, and how, you know, we can, you know, be a slave to the group of the tribe that we came up in. And it's like, you know, there's nothing wrong with being where you're from and not forgetting where you're from, but don't let where you're from limitate where you can be. Because when you're going through certain levels, if this is making any kind of sense, you know, you sometimes got to maneuver in certain kind of ways. You know what I mean? Like you said, value proposition.
That's real.
You know what I mean? Is it worth to keep the hair? Is it worth not to keep the hair? Is it that important?
Yeah.
Is it really that important?
Right.
Does the hair define you, or do you define the hair?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or anything for that matter. You know what I mean? Is it that important to be around certain people who look a certain way and talk a certain way for your comfortableness, or is it more important to be able to maneuver in all kind of arenas because you never know who you're gonna need?
Right.
You know what I mean? And still be true to who you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Still be powerful enough to know that, you know, my tribe is a tribe of one, but I can connect with whoever.
Right.
And when you get to those places, at least for me, it became very freeing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel like I had to put myself in these groups.
Right.
And I still feel like I got respect from those groups that I came from, but I also feel like I don't have to be a slave to what they feel like anymore.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It's really crazy actually, because, you know, with what we do for a living, you know, put it this way, over the course of time, like you said, you can change, like as a person.
We all do.
Because that's just like that person who I was before. Like I've always had the same mind. I didn't always have the same mindset though.
Correct.
You get what I'm saying? And now, how we're speaking now is how I speak. I didn't speak like that back then, right? What has happened is, you know, with that box and being aware, like I'm aware, I'm 6'4", 225 pounds, big beard, you know, deep voice, like we move, right? The location where I work, you know, I interact with a lot of people who normally would be either intimidated by that, or they would feel like because they saw me, they already knew that I wasn't worth anything, right? So what has happened over the course of time is, you know, my vernacular, my vocabulary, my tonality, you know, these are all things that I've become aware of to where I can articulate a message and convey it in a way that can be received by anybody.
Correct.
Right? It's crazy when I first meet with people, especially people of a different race, right? I have to prove myself to them in order for them to even listen to what it is that I'm saying. But I actually use that as a like a trampoline, because you weren't expecting it. You weren't expecting me to speak like that. You weren't expecting me to know my stuff, right? So when I over know my stuff, it moves you even more. You know what I mean? But the crazy thing is, you know, to your point and what it is that you were saying, because I came from those same humble beginnings too, right? My mom was a single parent since I was 9 years old. I was the man of the house, and so I grew up. It was rough. Like we grew up in the hood, you know. The crazy part about it is that every time that I go to work, shirt and tie, you know, suit, whatever, what have you, speaking the same way that I speak to other people, and our people, a lot of the times see it as if I think that I'm better than them, or I'm not one of them, or whatever, what have you, not knowing who I am as a person. So it's like a double-edged sword, you know, kind of like that sticky wicket that you used to talk about.
Can I jump in that right quick?
That's what we doing.
So I used to be like that,
Yeah.
right? And you know, so for y'all don't know, I trained this young man.
Yeah,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? And I'm not saying that in a derogatory manner. Like we were in the sales arena together, and you know he was on my team, one of my brightest, and you know one of my most successful. You know what I mean? So we created this bond and friendship. That's why we should be
Absolutely.
But
I picked up trash the other day because you moving to a new crib. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Close
that.
on the house.
Man's on a vacation, help me clean out,
That's
clean out
right.
the whole house.
That's
You know,
right.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. That's love.
Anytime.
Yeah. But on that point you just made, you said how you have to prove yourself because of your personality.
Correct.
More so on your physical.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So let me jump on it right quick.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we talked about those boxes, the ways of thinking, and we grow. Right. And then we talked about how, you know, in certain situations, you know, how I felt in the past, how certain people will maneuver, and I was like, you know, I don't know if I do that. Right. So then there was a young man I worked with for many years. He was a master salesman, and he could literally like get anybody to just like buy. Felt like all the time. You know what I mean?
I think I know who you're talking about already.
Who do you think
Go
it
ahead.
MS?
Yeah.
Shout out to MS.
MS, yeah.
You know, we're gonna put you in there, put you in the calendar. So he was a dope dude. He is a dope dude. You know what I mean? And you know, through the grapevine, and I'm gonna paraphrase. I don't know if you actually said out your mouth, but I always heard from other people that he would always be like, you know, X is is a master salesman, and you know, he just got this natural way of doing it. But I always looked at him like, yo, this dude is a master salesman.
Absolutely.
Right? But he would do certain things, and he would maneuver a certain kind of way, and I was like, I'm a little different.
Yeah.
And I would, you know, kind of felt like you were feeling. You know what I mean? And then as I evolved, what I realized what he was doing, and what I realized I was doing, was one and the same. But what he was doing was a lot easier. You understand what I'm trying to say right now? It was a lot easier.
Yeah.
What I was doing was a lot harder. Took more effort. You know what I mean? And it was like intent. What is my intent in that interaction with that person, that group you're talking about that you're dealing with on the table, trying to get the deal.
Right.
Obviously, we're talking like sales right now, and the intent is to get the transaction.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? The intent is to get the transaction and get the people to like you so that you can get the transaction.
That's all.
You know what I mean? That's the bottom line and the goal. I don't care if it's make the people like you, make the people respect you. At the end of the day, those little wars don't matter. What matters is get the transaction, get the deal.
Right.
Make sense?
Indeed.
At the end of the day, A to Z, period, get the deal. So what I learned was, you know, the other process, not even gonna say the other process, it's the same process. But what I learned was that mindset or that mentality he was using was an easier way to go.
Right.
So I thought about it and I was like, okay, I still got the same verbiage, I still can make people respect me, all that kind of stuff, but I'm fighting two wars at the same time. You know what I mean? I'm fighting a war to try to get the transaction, and I'm trying to fight a war to get you to respect me as a person on the table.
Right.
The truth of the matter is, B, they don't care who you are.
Right.
They don't care who I am.
Right.
You know what they care about? What do they care about?
If they win it.
Nah, they care about having a good experience. That's it. That's all people care about when they do deals. If you don't know nothing else about business, people care about a good experience. If they have a good experience, then they're gonna buy from you.
Yeah, because that's true. Because it's an emotional sell.
Come on,
backed
man.
by logic.
One-on-one,
Yeah.
ABC. You know what I mean? So understand what you're doing. What you're doing is trying to give them a good experience. So are you trying to give them a good experience and give them a history lesson? Or are you trying to give them a good experience and give them an ethics lesson? Or are you trying to give them an experience and give them a cultural lesson? Or just trying to give them a good experience? Because at the end of the day, what are you trying to really give them? A good experience. All that other stuff don't matter.
So do me a favor. Relate that to the bigger picture.
So the bigger picture, like with the boxes and all that,
Correct.
is that let your self-bias go. Because that battle that you're talking about, that I was feeling it too, you brought that to the table. You can say, well, no, they brought that to the table because they feel this way. Well, you don't know that till they say it.
Right.
Right now, you having a genuine interaction, a human and a human.
Right.
break it down to the essence of what it is on the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you're putting yourself in that box,
Mm-hmm.
you're putting yourself in that, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Where if you, God bless my man Sean, who was here, he used to always say, man, just make them laugh. That was his gift. He just made them laugh on the table. Because humor breaks everything. I don't care, who you really are. If you can relate on a humoristic way, if I'm saying that right, your humanity is all the same. So whatever I might have thought about you coming into it, or whatever you might have thought about me coming into it, if we can be jovial within the first 10 seconds of our interaction, all those preconceptions go away anyway. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
So then I won those same battles within 13 seconds. Versus trying to prove myself to you over an hour conversation about articulations when I just made a friend.
Right. And that's the crazy part. So, like, rest in peace, Sean, right? But like he used to always say, on the table, off the table, it's all the same,
It's
right?
all the same.
So off the table, it's the same because at the same time, right? That's kind of like how I started this off when I was saying, when you hear it from a third party, it resonates, right? Because I always talk about not giving energy to things that are not giving energy back to you. You know what I mean? And if I don't care enough about you, right, then why would I even give you my energy? Now, the thing is, energy is positive and negative.
Energy is energy.
Absolutely. So, with that said, if I'm giving energy trying to prove something instead of just naturally just doing what it is that I need to do and keeping the focus in mind, that's extra energy going towards something that may or may not work anyway.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's not getting you closer to what your intent was.
Right.
Your intent was to get the what?
The deal.
Get the
now,
deal.
That relates to life as a whole too, because you got to preserve your energy there too, because you want to give energy to things that are going to give energy back to you. So what happened is, over the course of time, because like I remember I gave you that call. The reason I was giving you that call is because my mentality has changed, and what it caused was, it caused me to kind of create a box for myself, like as far as just my mentality and letting people in, because you don't want to be vulnerable.
Oh my God, B. You know how bad of a box that is?
That's a horrible box.
That is a horrible
and it's
box.
not a happy life to live. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Isolation.
we have blessings, and in order to, like, my blessing, I feel like, is to communicate. My blessing also is to lead, right? But if I don't put myself in a position to where I'm open to people, I will not be able to communicate or lead. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's correct.
Like, and the reason that I always respected you is because, yes, you were my manager, right? But I don't believe in the boss thing.
No.
That's not really my thing. So with you were a leader, right? A leader does not have to tell somebody that they're the boss, right? A leader leads by example, and people follow them with their heart and not just their mind because they have to. You get what I'm saying?
Correct.
So, me and you butted heads when I first got there, but I was young, and just like I matured there, I just matured in life as a whole.
So to jump on that,
Yeah.
we will relate definitely, because you want to table off the table,
Yeah.
right? And we were talking about that statement you just made about, it's an emotional sell back by logic. So that's leadership.
Absolutely.
That's getting your wife. That's getting your children to do things. That's getting everything in life is an emotional transaction backed by logic. And if you really catch anything, I'm telling you right now, everything in life is an emotional transaction backed by logic.
Indeed.
We are emotional people, period. You cannot remove emotions out of the equation. So as long as you understand that it's an emotional transaction backed by logic, you can be the best leader. You can get anything you want in life. You can get anybody to go along with you in life, because you're just going to connect with them in an emotional way, tie it down with a little bit of logic, and move forward with the deal.
But that's the thing that we were talking about, to bring it full circle. That's the awareness, right? Because like you said just now, you said everything in life is what? An emotional transaction.
Correct.
Backed by logic. We're always being sold. Like, everything's about value proposition. I remember one guy that I was talking to, it was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I'll never forget him. Young family. They were, over the course of like maybe the last 8 years or so, they had been struggling, right? But what happened was, this man had just graduated to become a doctor. Like, he went through his residency and all those other things. So his whole situation was changing. And what I told him that's a beautiful thing. First of all, I said, but that's value proposition, right? you guys knew the sacrifice that you were going to take when you went to school. You knew it was going to be tough and all of those other things, but you saw the value at the end. So you were willing to pay the cost of your time, your effort. You know, when y'all was struggling to, you know, do whatever you needed to do financially. You know, all of these other things, but the value at the end was bigger than the cost, so it made sense, right? That's in life as a whole.
Period.
You know what I mean?
Period.
So, let me ask you this: if you had to say one idea or one word that you feel like is maybe the most important thing to you as far as where you are and or where you want to go, what would you say that is?
The one word or maybe one concept.
That's what I was saying. One word or one idea, one concept.
It would have to be. Sort of put it in a single phrase. But
Okay.
So
You can
Butch.
however you-
Shout out to Butch on this one. Open-handedness, but different than how I used to understand that concept.
All right.
Open in the sense of being open to other people
Okay.
and being open to what they bring to my life, and then how I can, interface with that energy without having my preconceived notions into what they bring to me.
Okay.
If that makes any
It
sense.
do, because that's the same thing I was. Yeah, absolutely.
Because what happens is now that I'm more free or freer
Right.
in how I interact with people, and I try to leave my baggage at the door, I'm more open to, like we were saying the other day about when you interact with a girl or a guy or anything like that, he was like, is it worth the effort to win those little battles? Where if I can accept you for who you are, right, and what you bring to my table, then I can look at you on a more pure essence of what you're talking to me about,
Right.
and then relate to you on that level, right, and then get to the transaction that I need in that scenario for
Right.
me faster, quicker, more enjoyable, if you will,
Right.
and then move on to the next project
Right.
or the next scenario or the next person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where if you really understand what I'm saying right there, everybody, that's like that's the most, I have found the most freeing thing ever, because you're not wasting, like you said, that negative energy
Right.
that was already instilled in, that you will bring it out of you onto them,
Right.
and you're not letting their negative energy come onto you, because you get to literally leapfrog past that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Connect in a human manner and just move forward with what you're really trying to get out of that transaction.
Right.
Be it, a car, a house, a kiss, a hug, or whatever.
Right.
You get what I'm trying to
Right.
say? And just move on, man. And it's that openness to other people has just changed me dramatically.
And that's dope, man. And when you talk about table, you talk about the table of life.
Correct.
Like, I'm with you, bro. I remember, not remember because it just happened yesterday. So we're in Vegas right now. My man is in Vegas. That's why I could not waste the chance to, kind of pick his brain a little bit. But we were about to get on the elevator, me and my girl, and nobody else was on the elevator. So I made the extra effort to hold the elevator door for this white couple to get in, right? And they were like, "Oh no, we'll wait for the next one," and immediately my mind went to, man, that racist stuff, man, and I said, see, that's why I don't do stuff like that for people I don't know, because you don't know how it's gonna come back, right? But it took me a millisecond, along with my girl, to kind of mentally check myself, because like when people give forgiveness, why do they do it? You don't do it for the other person, you do it for yourself.
Correct.
Right? So when I made the effort to try to provide some positive energy, I was not doing that solely for them. I was doing it for myself, right? So if it didn't come back the way that I wanted it to come back, why should I be upset about that? Because I wasn't doing it for them in the first place.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's that awareness, and it happens over the course of time, But and
Plus, you don't even know the intent that they had of getting out of the elevator.
Exactly.
Could have been the virus. Could have been
Right.
the racists. Could have been they wanted to get busy in the hotel
Right.
elevator
Yeah.
by themselves.
That's right.
It's Vegas, you know what I mean? You don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So who cares?
Right. Who cares?
Is it worth the effort of the energy?
Who cares?
Is it worth that? Is it worth those 3 seconds, 5 seconds, that fight, that emotion to when you don't know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's an
When you don't
assumption.
know. It's an
You know what they say
assumption.
about assuming.
Yeah, so I ain't got time to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just let
Right.
it go. You know what I mean? So when
And
you,
does it really matter?
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Does
Right.
it really matter? Because if it really was, that's their bad.
Because I'll never meet that person again.
Man, I tell my children this every single day. My mother told me this a long time ago. People come, people go. Some people are going to be with you for a year, a season, a week, you know what I mean? Some people are going to be with you for a lifetime. Just enjoy your process with them for that moment.
Indeed.
Get what you can get out of the transaction. So shout out to KD. All right. So my wife used to tell me about this phrase that he used to say, and I got to give you credit for this one, bro. But he used to say, you know, if I have an interaction with you and I get more out of it than you do, then whose fault is that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I remember the first time she told me about that phrase, and I was like, that's some punk shit. It's my language.
Indeed.
But as I grew, I was like, yo, and started to really understand and understand what he was saying. Man, I get it. Like over the years, I really get it, because what we're saying right now is, if I get an enjoyment out of that transaction with that person to open the door, I made myself feel good.
Indeed.
Now, if you didn't get anything out of that because you got fear out of it, then you got less out of it. That's on you.
That's true.
What I got was a happy feeling.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's on me to gravitate to the positive and not the negative, because I'm always get something out of it.
Yeah.
So like when I said about those scenarios with old boy, you know, MS, you know what I mean, man, I was saying things I wouldn't do. Man, I'll mirror people. I can change my voice, act like you. You know what I'm saying? And whatever.
You can change your accent. I don't know if you can change your voice. That jump
Dude,
kind of.
you'd be surprised. I know how to get it in.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm being for real right now.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is, I'm having fun.
Right.
I'm getting something out of that transaction.
Right.
Not just the transaction, I'm getting a good experience for me.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, you're going to get a good experience for you, because obviously I want that connection, but I'm getting something out of it.
You know what's crazy? That kind of brings me back to AF. You know what I'm talking about? One thing she used to say was, the first thing that you need to do is find something you like about that person.
Period.
Or about that couple.
That's right.
And that's for you.
That's right.
So you can get something out of it.
So you can get something out of it.
Absolutely.
And that's everybody. They're on the table, off the table. The table is
Absolutely.
light. You know what I mean? And when you get like this, like I said, it's just such a freeing mental space.
Yeah.
Because you can maneuver in and out of any culture, any group, any society, and you can be free.
Yeah. That's what we all searching for.
That's what we're all searching for, because technically we all one culture.
Speaking of free, bro, that's what we talking about. Getting out of that box.
Yeah, man.
You know, first thing is being aware of our boxes and being aware when we're putting ourselves in the boxes. You know, because you can't get out of it until you know that you're in it.
Gotta know
We're
your
born in
role.
a box. You know why? Because like if I look at you right now, I can only see you the way that I see you. I can't see how you see me, how you see anything else.
Correct.
Somebody said something a while ago to me, and they said it to a group of people, and half of the room, maybe a little bit more than half of the room, got offended. And there were a couple of people that basically were like, wow, like it resonated. And I was one of those people. What they said was, what you got to understand is that you're not as important as you think you are.
Oh my God, that's a humbling feeling.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
And what he was saying was, look, it's not only about you, everything matters. How this person feels and that person feels and all of these, everything is relevant, everything matters, so don't just focus on yourself. And we're born into that, to think of how it affects us solely.
Ego is a horrible thing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying don't have self-confidence,
You gotta have some swag.
but ego is a killer, man.
Yeah.
Ego, too much ego into who you are, how you think, how you feel, how you perceive. You're one of billions and billions and billions of people with that same feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When my life got rocky, I remember I went through a time when I was in Texas. My life got real rocky, and I think the good Lord was, humbling me.
Mm-hmm.
Allowing me to really, test my faith and my visions
Mm-hmm.
of how I saw the life, my life, I should
Right.
say. And at that time, it was like, I had to really, 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 as they say, submit to my position in this global thing we call the world. You know what I
Right.
mean? And because when you have a level of success, you can start feeling that bravado, that fearlessness, that I can always win.
Yeah.
I will always come out on top. I'm untouchable. We all touchable.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when for me, when that happened, you know, I really had to realize that, you know what, B, for all my blessings and all my success and all my ways of thinking, I'm just that one little speck.
Right.
Having that same kind of feeling.
Right.
So what is it so much about me that makes me that much better, worse, or whatever on this level thing that we got to always put people in versus everybody else?
Right.
And I finally got to that point. This is how I got open. I finally got to that point where I was like, you know what? I'm not special.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Because I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm special in the sense that I'm who I am. But we're all special.
Right.
So if everybody's special, is anybody special?
And at the same time, is your special better than my special?
Exactly.
Everybody's special.
Everybody's special.
That's right.
So when you get to that place, you're like, well, everybody's special. Or like you were saying the other day, you know, you can have, you know, book intelligence, you can have basketball intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
you can have, you know, eating intelligence. Everybody got their different things.
Genius. Yeah.
Everybody got their genius.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So being open and being humble and allowing them to bring their genius and finding that thing that you connect with, man, I'm telling you, it just opens up so many doors. It's so freeing. It allows you to, you know, to really allow yourself to go from another place in your life to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Because you will maneuver and find that, hey, you know what, that group over there has got something to offer.
All right, man. So I hate to do this, man. It's always good conversation. Always a pleasure, bro. But if you had any parting words in regards to, you know, the people and, you know, kind of something that they could take with them. They're gonna take a lot of the stuff with them. But is there anything that you would like to say in order to close everything up?
You know, I just first of all want to say thank you for letting me be a part of, you know, the maiden voyage of your new endeavor.
Absolutely. Build it
I
up.
wish you nothing but success, and hopefully I can be a part of this again. It was fun. And you know, as far as people out there, you know, just you know, stay true to yourself. You know, don't let where you are dictate where you can go.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you know, self-development is a must in life. You know, videos like this, you know, books. You know, there's a good book you can read out there called, you know, where you are. What is it? Where you are is not going to get you where you need to go, or something like that. I wish I had the name of it right quick. That's a good.
We'll find it and put the link in.
Yeah, I see the link on that one. You know, so Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's another good book. Another game I would recommend a lot of people buy is, and I'm not endorsing any of these things. I mean, you know, I'm not paid, I should say, but things I do with myself and family.
Right.
You know, have you heard that game, Rat Race?
I've heard of it.
It's a game.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's a dope game, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things that'll help push you past your mental thinking.
Right.
That'll force you to try to see things from a different aspect and be patient and forgive yourself. You know what I mean? Give yourself time to grow. You know, that's one thing we didn't really talk about. But, you know, I tell my kids, you know, life is a 5-year, 10-year growth span. You know, so what you grow through in the first 5 years is going to determine what happens in the next 10 years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So every 5 years, you know, just try to keep growing and try to keep pushing yourself because, you know, it's like, you know, your life is like an elephant. You know, they say eat an elephant one bite at a time.
One bite at a time. That's
You know what I
right.
mean? So look at your life like, you know, one block at a time. You know, just today determines tomorrow. The first 5 years determines the next 5 to 10 years, and just keep trying to push it and grow it. You know what I mean? Allow yourself to, you know, forgive yourself for your mistakes, and you know, not be too hard on yourself, not too egotistic on yourself, and just, you know, let love God and do it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Well, as you know, it's a pleasure having you here, man. It's good that you talked about that growth because that's what this is all about. That build it all, man. Start off with the foundation, like you said. You know, take it one bite at a time with that elephant and build it one brick at a time too. So we're gonna keep rocking with this thing, man. Of course, you know, the time flew by, bro.
That was fast. Yeah.
The time flew by, man. So we definitely gonna do this again, even if it's on something like where we do you here and I'm there or whatever, man. We gotta do it, man.
So I'm gonna say this because he didn't say it yet. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe. You gotta remember
Absolutely.
this. Smash that like button.
Absolutely.
Smash that subscribe button. Thumbs up. Comments below. You know what I mean? Oh, and you can follow me on the Family Circle on YouTube too. You know what I mean?
Hey, look, and it's all free. Smash that like button, subscribe, do all of those things, man. We're gonna build it from the ground up. Y'all gonna rock with us, and you know, I'm just happy to be here, man. So, yeah, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you, Doctor.
All right.
Love, respect.